The movie kicks off in a dimly lit motel room where we meet Alice, a woman in her early 30s. She receives a late-night phone call from her husband Eric and quickly steps into the bathroom to talk. It's 2 a.m. and Eric greets her with warmth, reminding her about their scheduled appointment with a fertility specialist later that day. Alice, a social media manager at a pharmaceutical firm, is on her way home from an important industry convention. However, what Eric doesn't realize is that she isn't alone. She's been having an affair with her close friend and coworker, John. The next morning, Alice and John check out of the motel and resume their trip. During their drive, we learn that Alice and Eric have been struggling with infertility, though Eric remains supportive and hopeful. As they continue, John notices the gas gauge dropping unexpectedly, even though he distinctly remembers refueling the previous day. Perplexed, he pulls into a nearby gas station to investigate. While John focuses on filling the tank, Alice steps into the convenience store to grab a coffee. Unbeknownst to them, gasoline is leaking from their car, a possible explanation for the rapid fuel depletion. Outside, a massive billboard looms over the station, bearing an eerie message: God is nowhere. Inside, Alice approaches the counter to pay, only to realize that no attendant is present. She places some cash on the counter, but suddenly notices something disturbing: fresh blood splattered on the walls. Panic sets in as she turns to leave, but before she can escape, a gunshot rips through her arm. A barrage of bullets follows, forcing Alice to scramble for cover. She screams for help, but John remains oblivious, lost in his music inside the car. Wincing in pain, Alice tightens a makeshift tourniquet around her injured arm. As she cautiously peers out from her hiding spot, a bullet barely misses her, revealing that the sniper is positioned atop the billboard. Trapped and defenseless, Alice realizes she's in a deadly game of survival. Desperate for assistance, she spots her phone lying just a few feet away. Mustering her courage, she inches toward it, only for the sniper to obliterate it with a single shot. With her only means of communication gone, she scans the store for an alternative and notices a security monitor displaying an emergency exit. Before she can act, a voice crackles through a walkie-talkie on a nearby desk. Reaching the device means exposing herself to the sniper's line of sight, so Alice devises a distraction. She tosses snack bags into the air, and as the shooter reacts, she lunges for the radio. Speaking into it, she begs for help. The voice on the other end asks about someone named Amelia, but Alice has no idea who that is. Meanwhile, John finally notices something is wrong when he realizes his gas tank is leaking. Growing concerned about Alice's absence, he heads inside, only to be shot in the neck the moment he steps through the door. Gasping for air, he collapses, reaching out for Alice's help. But before she can react, the sniper finishes him off with a fatal shot. Devastated, Alice retrieves the fallen walkie-talkie using a mop stick. When she finally gets through to the voice on the other end, she identifies herself and describes the horrifying situation. The man asks again about Amelia, but Alice insists no one else is there. Hearing this, he calmly states that he's calling the police. Then his tone shifts. He laughs darkly, revealing a chilling truth: he's the one who just executed John. He taunts Alice, warning that if she doesn't want to talk, he'll come down and meet her in person. Thinking fast, Alice spots a switchboard and formulates a risky plan. If she can plunge the store into darkness, she might have a chance to escape. She throws random objects at the switches, but nothing works. Then she notices that the shelf she's using as cover is on wheels. She carefully maneuvers it while dodging incoming gunfire before finally reaching the switch and shutting off the lights. Hoping to find someone else on the radio, she tries to make contact, but every call connects only to the sniper. He reveals another disturbing piece of information: Amelia is already dead. He confesses to killing her after discovering her infidelity. A wave of fear washes over Alice. She too has been unfaithful. Is that why she's been targeted, or was she just in the wrong place at the wrong time? Before she can dwell on it, headlights illuminate the gas station. A man named Doug steps out of his vehicle, calling out for his girlfriend Amelia. Alice immediately warns him to get down, explaining that a sniper is lying in wait. She quickly pieces together that Doug was Amelia's lover. Doug is stunned by Alice's claim that Amelia was married, insisting that it's a lie. Amelia never had a husband. Meanwhile, Alice notices something strange. Since Doug entered the store, the sniper has gone silent. A chilling suspicion creeps into her mind. Could Doug be the shooter? Doug denies any involvement, saying he and Amelia worked overnight shifts together. Alice remains wary, but reluctantly agrees to let him prove himself. She tells him to retrieve his phone from his car so they can call for help. She promises to create a diversion. Doug hesitates, sensing the danger, but Alice's urgency convinces him to try. As he reaches for his phone, a gunshot rings out, killing him instantly. His phone is destroyed in the process. Alice watches in horror, realizing Doug was telling the truth. He wasn't the sniper after all. Now she's more alone than ever, her last hope of escape slipping away. The real sniper speaks again over the radio, openly calling himself a murderer. He accuses Alice of sending Doug on a mission she knew would end in his death. But the sniper isn't just here to kill, he wants the truth. He already knew Alice was at the convention and expresses his disgust at how she profits from drugs that ruin lives. Alice insists she only works in marketing for a pharmaceutical company, but the sniper calls her out, claiming that makes her even worse. She isn't just part of the system. She's the one pushing the lies, convincing people that drugs are safe. He knows the company's name too, and makes it clear that Alice's rise in the corporate world was built on betrayal. In his eyes, she deserves to die. He then reveals a darker accusation. Alice once falsely accused a man of sexual assault to advance her career. The man was fired, left with no income to care for his terminally ill daughter. As the sniper rants about this injustice, one that may have happened to him, Alice notices a pile of umbrellas by the counter and starts forming a plan. There's also uncertainty about the sniper's true identity. Amelia's husband, that's what he implies, but Doug had insisted otherwise. It's possible the sniper simply needed Amelia out of the way to fabricate his revenge story. Whether his attack on Alice was premeditated or just an unfortunate coincidence remains unknown. As the sniper continues talking, Alice aligns the umbrellas. The moment he catches on, he fires multiple rounds into the gas station. Alice makes a desperate dash for the exit, only to find it locked. She scrambles to break the padlock but has no luck. Then a man arrives to pump gas. His credit card malfunctions, so he leaves without incident. The sniper doesn't shoot him, suggesting he only eliminates those who uncover his plans. Meanwhile, Alice, on the verge of breaking down, pleads for her life. She admits her struggles with infertility and the toll it has taken on her marriage. But the sniper isn't moved. He already knows she's been unfaithful. He ridicules her for her actions, saying the world would be better off without her. Just then, Alice spots a police car speeding past the station, but it doesn't stop. Seizing the moment, she sneaks toward John's car while the sniper searches for her. As she attempts to get inside, a bullet tears through the air, forcing her to retreat. A second shot strikes her thigh. Writhing in pain, she fights to stay conscious, eventually managing to patch up the wound to slow the bleeding. She then discovers a uniform labeled Henry and realizes the employee had been fired weeks earlier. Among his abandoned belongings is a photo of him with his daughter. Grabbing a hacksaw, she tries to cut through the padlock, but only succeeds in injuring herself. Frustrated, she grabs the radio and challenges the sniper, calling him Henry in an attempt to humanize him. But after a brief silence, he coldly responds, "Who's Henry?" Moments later, another vehicle pulls up. An elderly man steps out to refuel, but upon spotting Doug's corpse, he panics. The sniper immediately guns him down. The tragedy worsens when his wife also steps out, and Alice frantically signals for her to hide. But it's too late, she's shot as well. The killer taunts Alice, claiming they share the same darkness, that she will pass her evil genes to her future children. But Alice defies him, revealing she chose not to have children to avoid bringing more suffering into the world. She calls him a coward who lurks in the shadows, murdering innocent people. Then she notices a terrified little girl, Cindy, sitting in the car. Having just witnessed her grandparents' brutal deaths, the child is paralyzed with fear. Alice begs the sniper to spare Cindy's life. He calmly replies that if he wanted her dead, she already would be. He then asks Alice, would she sacrifice herself for the child? Without hesitation, Alice says yes. The sniper grants her 2 minutes to get Cindy to safety. Alice urges the girl to run, but Cindy, too frightened by the darkness, bolts into the store instead. With no choice left, Alice barricades the door and returns to cutting through the exit's padlock. Meanwhile, the sniper finally descends from his perch, advancing toward the store to finish what he started. Alice successfully removes the padlock, only to discover another locked shutter behind it. Trapped, she prepares for a final confrontation. She hides Cindy, grabs anything that could serve as a weapon, and braces for the inevitable. The sniper enters and prowls through the store, questioning Alice. Did her husband send him? Was he a colleague she backstabbed for a promotion? Or perhaps a grieving father whose daughter died from complications linked to her company's drugs? Before he can get an answer, Alice launches a surprise attack, driving a metal rod into his back. But the wound isn't enough to stop him. He retaliates, and they struggle violently. Alice attempts to rip off his mask, but he overpowers her. From her hiding spot, Cindy watches in horror as a gunshot echoes through the store. Alice collapses, seemingly lifeless. The sniper turns his attention to the girl and approaches her hiding place. Just as he reaches for his mask, Alice reemerges, using her last ounce of strength to smash him with a fire extinguisher. He stumbles but tries to get up, until she strikes again, rendering him motionless. With great effort, she drags his body to a hydraulic press, desperate to unmask him. But before she can uncover his identity, the machine activates, crushing his skull beyond recognition. The nightmare is finally over. But one question will never be answered. Who was he? As exhaustion overtakes her, Alice collapses, breathing her last breath. Cindy watches in silent shock. In the final scene, the child emerges from the store and begins walking down the empty road. The sun rises on the horizon, illuminating the only survivor of the massacre.
Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.